The other kids, they make fun of me. They say Uncle Andatu is just a flower now, and I'll be a flower someday too. Neja beats me in races. Mirage is better in hide and seek. Atlas can do more push-ups. They say I'm useless. Not even worth a forma. I don't want to go back there. Don't make me go back there, Dad.
Stand up and listen closely. You are Rhino Prime, son of Palatine. You will survive this trial, and many others still to come. Your skin is forged of iron. Let me see it. Your stomp has the power to disrupt time itself. Let me feel it. Your mighty roar inspires all who would be your ally. Let me hear it. You will charge back to the Academy at once. You will earn your prime details. And you will be worthy of an Umbra Forma. Go, my son, and show them all what it means to be Rhino.
He get his ass kicked again?
Hildred's daughter shoved his head in the girl's toilet.
I'll give her a call after lunch.
Okwa Tanzinwan, my people, and welcome to the Hardcore Endgame build guide for Rhino. When I was in the process of picking a frame for my next video, I noticed that Rhino Prime's relics had just been unvaulted. Then I thought about all the good times Rhino and I had years ago, clearing a star chart for the first time. How reassuring it is for a newer player to have invincibility and a massive second health pool. How impactful it is to boost all of your outgoing damage. And that feeling of raw, devastating power the first time you stomp a room into suspended animation and charge through the drifting bodies. Despite not being a starter frame, his parts drop on Venus, the second planet you unlock. I recommend him to every new player seeking advice, for the simple reason that he has everything you need to clear any mission. He's like the pizza of Warframes. Sure, there are tastier meals, fancier meals, meals that are more filling.
This certainly is an upsetting number of pancakes. Here we go.
But when you need something reliable, what else would you order? French fries? Those could be fingers. Despite all this, or maybe because of it, Rhino gets picked on a bit, and not just by primed snobs who insist he's a crutch for bad players. Keen viewers were quick to notice that during the gameplay reveal of the new war, Kyle 175 lifted a Corinth Prime off the gently resting husk of an incapacitated Rhino. Nice try, DE, but Rhino was spotting me at the local Jack LaLanne before Kyle was even a glimmer in Tilrigor's test tube.
Shape up and live! Helping people shape up and live, that's what Jack LaLanne's is all about.
So even though World Rhino Day is still a month away, September 22nd if you're wondering, I'm here to show my pachyderm paisan some much-deserved love. Rhino Prime's main and component blueprints come from their associated void relics, which are available as of this video's posting. My build requires an Orokin reactor and 4 total forma, one of which is an Umbra. I use 2 Umbral mods, Intensify and Fiber, but they're not mandatory. In fact, if you decide to use a regular Intensify and Steel Fiber, the build only requires 3 total forma. The arcanes are helpful, but optional, as is usually the case with my builds. Same goes for helmet swaps, but I'll talk about that more in a bit. If you're not familiar with Rhino, this is what you get with his base model. His trait is, well, it's a free heavy impact mod. Doesn't quite rival Wisp's trait.
You are one pathetic loser.
But I guess we'll take it. His 1, Rhino Charge, has him dash forward, knocking down anything in his path and goring them with impact damage. It looks cool, but the damage is kinda poo-poo, so this is what I recommend replacing with something from Helminth. Hey, speaking of poop, did you know that an adult white rhino can produce as much as 50 pounds of dung per day?
Was all that horseshit?
Well, you know, actually, rhinos and horses are both odd-toed ungulates, so close enough. Iron Skin, Rhino's 2, is where his survivability comes from. Activating the ability makes Rhino completely invulnerable for 3 seconds. All incoming damage during this time is absorbed and then turned into a health buffer when the 3 seconds are up. Rhino is then immune to all status effects until the buffer is exhausted, and all incoming damage is directed to the buffer rather than Rhino's core health and shields. This includes toxin damage, which would normally bypass shields and deal direct health damage. Roar is Rhino's 3 and his subsumed ability. It's one of the hottest elective surgery options down at Dr. Helmint's Infusions and Invigorations, because it increases all outgoing damage for both Rhino and allies who are within range when he casts it. Additionally, it's treated as a faction bonus, and if you were paying attention during my Tenet Grigori video, you know that faction damage bonuses are a multiplier in regular damage calculations, and then a second time for any status proc damage. Dr. Helminth doesn't have the most sterile work environment though.
It's damn cold.
So his infusion of Roar is limited to a base 30% bonus damage. Rhino, however, has a base of 50% bonus damage on it, meaning it scales much better with ability strength. Finally, we have Rhino Stomp in the 4th ability slot. Rhino slams his foot on the ground, tossing enemies into the air, where they're suspended for a period of time based on ability duration. With a build focused on duration and range, Rhino can actually solo difficult interception missions by running to different areas and using Rhino Stomp to keep enemies CC'd for 20 seconds at a time. It's an extremely powerful way to simply pause everything around you if things get hectic and you need a few seconds.
Time out! Excuse me, bad guys. I am running out of air. Gotta get pumped.
What you may have noticed is that when it comes to the core ability stats, Rhino kinda wants it all. Stomp needs duration and range, Roar needs strength and duration, and even though Iron Skin doesn't need duration or range, it wants a lot of strength. If we look at the calculation for Iron Skin's health buffer, you know, I don't think I like you very much. Go sit in the corner. The buffer has a base health of 1200 on one end of the calculation, and the damage that's absorbed during the 3 seconds of invulnerability is at the other end. Leaving the absorbed damage value at 0 here simplifies things, as it can vary wildly, and it also makes no difference since it's just added to the rest of the formula. The real meat of the calculation is in the middle, which is made up of 4 multipliers. The first 2, Iron Skin's armor multiplier and base armor, we don't have control over. The third is made up of our armor mods, and the fourth are ability strength bonuses. I have most of the options I considered using in the build listed here in gray, and I can tick the boxes on and off to see how they affect the build. Just a quick note here, I'm simplifying this a little bit with my language, but there are actually 2 different multiplicative calculations here in the middle. One on the left, which includes these 3 multipliers, and then another which takes the total of the first calculation and multiplies it by the ability strength bonuses. Because of this, armor mod bonuses are worth slightly less than ability strength bonuses, since the former is multiplied by 2 other factors. As you can see, 25% ability strength gives us a buffer with 2359 health, but 25.5% armor only makes it 2062. Iron Skin benefits from armor and strength, so slotting in both Umbral Fiber and Intensify was a no-brainer. I considered Umbral Vitality as well, not for the additional HP, but to boost the values of the other 2 via the set bonus, but there was more value to be had from other mods in that slot. Blind Rage and Transient Fortitude are also must-haves, since they provide a huge bonus not only to Iron Skin, but also Roar and many of the better helmet options. And there are no Exilus mods that boost armor, so Power Drift goes there by default. This is a good place to pause, as we have just 4 mod slots open and a few issues to consider. First, we need to deal with the negative efficiency and duration from the 2 corrupted mods. Primed Continuity gets us above 100% duration and makes Roar last for just over 38 seconds, which is perfectly fine. As for efficiency, I do a simple, rough calculation to decide which is better, raising efficiency or increasing the energy pool. I look at the total energy cost for the abilities I plan on using regularly, Iron Skin and Roar in this case, and see how many times I can use them with one full energy pool. If we look at raising efficiency first, we have a total of 150 energy to work with. Fleeting Expertise would put us at 105% efficiency, but drop the duration of Roar to 20 seconds, which is far too low for my taste, but let's see what happens anyway. Iron Skin costs 47 and Roar 71, for a total of 120-ish, which means we can cast them once before needing to refill our energy. If we look to increase our energy pool instead, Prime Flow gives us 425 to work with. Iron Skin costs 77 and Roar 116 now, for a total of 190-ish, which means we can cast them twice before needing to refill our energy. So this is a clear winner, even if the negative duration of fleeting expertise wasn't a problem. Now we're down to just 2 mod slots, and they're the 2 D polarities Rhino Prime comes with. Let's pretend polarity isn't an issue for now though, and see which mods make the most sense. I've got a second copy of my spreadsheet tool so I can see 2 different options at the same time. On top, I'll choose the last ability strength mod and Augur Secrets, and bottom I'll choose one of the Carapace mods. Even with less value from armor, the 60% of a Carapace is worth much more than 24% of Augur Secrets. And if we compare using 1 Carapace mod with Augur Secrets top versus 2 Carapace mods bottom, it's the same story. Now consider that the Carapace mods are D polarity, and it makes even more sense to use them here. The only reason I would consider using another Forma and going with Augur Secrets over one of the Carapace mods is because the strength it provides would help Roar and many helmet options, whereas the bonus armor only benefits Iron Skin. I would also need an overabundance of Forma, or an announcement that Plague Star is coming soon.
Oh, please, 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 please!
Finally, let's talk about helmet options. Rhino can only use one of the damage boost abilities if we replace Roar, so that makes no sense. He also doesn't need CC or status immunity, since he has those in his base kit. So for me, it's more about filling in what he lacks. In high-level content, that's Armor Strip, so Pillage or Fire Blast work really well. Outside of that, the move speed of Infested Mobility is nice, or you could try Energized Munitions for some wild gunplay with fewer reloads. It's really up to you, so mess around and see what gently tugs your ladybugs. So that's how I build Rhino, and it's why I stick with him after all this time. Even if you don't like his playstyle, maybe you understand him a little better now, and you'll stop picking on him, yeah? Anyway, I gotta run. Apparently there's a small Thrak helmet clogging one of the toilets in my dojo.